All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read alouds there will brighten their day.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Behind the Book, where honest conversations spark deeper, more meaningful reading. I'm Erica and Burrell, the teacher lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Now, today's Behind the Book feature is especially special because it is written by me. I wrote this book and co-authored it with Araceli León, who is a beautiful Mexican and Chilean educator, after What Would the World Be Without Black People. So this is the second and the last book in a series, okay? Now, in today's Behind the Book review, we'll be going over the glows, what I think was done well, the grows, what I think could have been done differently, who this book is for and who should add it to their library, how to use it to have a more robust conversation with your child, and so much more, all in this episode of Behind the Book, where we go beyond the pages to get to the heart of the story. Now, if you have not done so yet, you can go check out the read aloud. It's live now, and then come back here for this fantastic review. You ready? Let's grow. Summary in my own words. So What Would the World Be Without Latinos is really a Latino history book designed to shed light, positive light, on this group of people. Right now, Latinos are under attack, and there is truly this disgusting and uncomfortable attack on Latino people, and there has been for a while. And so after writing What Would the World Be Without Black People, I wrote What Would the World Be Without Latinos, because that is the base of my student population, is Latino and Black. And so I wanted them to have something that sheds so much positivity, and that's where this book came from. Now, in terms of the summary of the story is really straightforward. It's about a boy who says some hurtful and hateful things about Latino people that he's probably heard from somewhere. And then from there, he gets his wish of living without Latinos, and, things just disappear. And all throughout the story, there's this fairy that is guiding him to tell him why he cannot interact with that specific thing made by those people. So it's a beautifully written children's book that takes the mean things that are commonly said and turns them into something beautiful and positive. And low-key puts the main character in his place, because there's no reason why we should be talking so badly about anybody. So the take-home message is that every group of people has contributed to the world we know today. There is no exception. Black people, queer people, Latino people, Asian people, blind people, whatever your group that you belong to, that group has contributed to life as we know it. And the point of this book was to say, hey, y'all need to stop sleeping on the many things that this group has done. We need to change the way that we speak about Latino people. And this is why. And look at how much your life is linked to things that they have contributed, even without realizing it or recognizing it. So that was the point of the book. That was the takeaway, okay? You didn't have to walk away from this book loving Latino people, but you did need to walk away understanding that, baby, you sit where you are because somebody else did something to make your life better. And it may have just been them. In terms of target age group, I always say 5 years old is where you can start to read this book. I mean, earlier than that, because I really do tell the story. I'm also the illustrator of this book, and I tell the story through both the images as well as the words. But if you were talking about dialogue, I would say neurotypical 5-year-olds would be a good starting point for this book. This is a book that I have read with kindergarten classes. It goes very well. I think some of the verbiage in the beginning is jarring because we might say these things in secret or hear them, but we don't blatantly say out loud some of the things that come up in this book. Yet and still, children are able to walk away like, dang, Latinos have done a big one time and time again. And sometimes children don't even know what a Latino is, right? Like, they have no idea, and this book goes into that too. So in terms of target message, I feel like it's covered for the age group of 5 and up. Who is this book meant for? There are really two groups that come to mind when I think about who I would want to have this book in their library. The first is very clearly Latino students. If you don't know, I also oversee an elementary school, so I'm in educational leadership, and our numbers are dropping in terms of enrollment, in terms of parents bringing their children to class because they are scared of deportation, retaliation, violence, and so on and so forth. And so the child feels that. Now I can't go to school because of who I am. They feel that. And when you have a child that is experiencing discomfort and rage and hate from their home, their home country, from all that they've known, it takes a toll on their self-esteem. So the first child that this book is meant for is Latino students. End of sentence. They deserve to have a book that is based in celebration and in joy and in excitement for the things that their people have done. They deserve that. They deserve to know how their people contributed to ending segregation, and they deserve to know that their people are the ones that discovered the material and made rubber, which is why we have things like rubber bands or tires. They deserve to understand that chocolate is a fundamental part of their history and their culture. They don't know that. There are so many students, Latino students, who receive this book who have no idea all of the positive, because all you keep hearing is gang and drugs and deportation and, cartels and all of these negative connotations and negative associations about your people. So you have nothing to combat it. Baby, this book was to combat that. And that's also why we started the Empathy Library, which is our Pay It Forward program, because a lot of children who need this book that was for them and written with them in mind, they come from backgrounds that $20 is way too much and it's not a priority. So the Pay It Forward program is a way you buy the book and it gets given to a child in need. But for the purposes of this video, the first type of child that needs this book is a Latino child. Okay? Afro-Latino, Mexican, Nicaraguan, Latino. That is the first group. The second group is children who either have a negative association when it comes to Latino people or who simply don't know anything about Latino culture. If I can't walk into your home and have a conversation with your child about anything pertaining to Latino culture, it is time for you to supplement their education and to add this book as a resource so that they are equipped to have conversations and to acknowledge the world around them. This idea that we don't see color or we're going to treat everybody the same is absolutely not for me. I'm not the same as the next person, right? We get to be our own groups. We get to have our own cultures. That should not be lost. And so right now, if you are in the mindset, if I just teach my child to love everybody, that does not excuse them from learning about the different groups of people in our world. Latino people being a major part of that. Discussion questions to have with your child. This section really depends on why you picked this book up. If you pick the book up to empower your child who is Latino, I would have the conversation around how they feel. What parts of the book are you proud of? Which person from the book stood out the most to you or do you most connect or relate to? What do you love about Latinos? What do you love about yourself? What do you love about your heritage and your culture? Do you know what country we came from? Do you know anything about us? So on and so forth. And so I would really have conversations around the joy of your culture and of your community. Baby, bring that in. Again, Latino babies are taking a self-esteem hit because the world is talking and they can hear it. Okay? And so utilize this book to have a conversation that is based in the empowerment and the love and the joy and the celebration of your people. The second part of how to have a discussion with your child around this book would be for people who their children are either not as familiar, like we were saying before, or have almost like a negative attitude towards this group of people. And I would talk to them around, what about your life is connected to Latino culture? Did you know the terms in the glossary? Utilize the glossary as part of this discussion that you're having, right? Because in the glossary, it goes through all of these different things. What is an indigenous person? That's important for them to know. What is diversity? What is Brown versus Board of Education? Really have a conversation around how their life is impacted by the things that Latino people have contributed and the joys of the book, or what it is that they learned or were able to take away. Lows. So now I'm going to get into what I loved about this book. Now, obviously, I am biased. This is my baby. I have 9 babies, if you did not know. I'm the author and illustrator of 9 children's books. And this one is Chef's Kiss. This is the only book that I co-authored with another person, which brings me to my first glow. One of the things I am so proud of when it comes to this book is that I did not choose to tell the story of a group of people that I do not belong to. I am not Latino. So, baby, I might have Latino students. I might rock, with their culture, all of that, right? But I am not Latino. So, I need to make sure that I am partnering with someone to accurately and respectfully share part of their culture. It's that simple. And so my first glow is that I was able to find another educator who is super embedded in her culture, being Mexican and Chilean, being a dancer, being an educator, who was willing to go through the steps with me, educate me, do the research with me, and ultimately write and create this book. When we share stories, we need to amplify the voices that the stories are about. So often we decide to share somebody else's story because we are well-meaning. But if you are not part of that group, you do not single-handedly speak on their behalf. The best allies amplify the voices of the people they're trying to support. And baby, I did my big one with this book. That's exactly what I did, okay? Second glow is that I got this book translated and went through the process of translating this book, not speaking Spanish, in English and in Spanish, because home language is Spanish. And what would the world be without Latinos? And then Abuela can't read it to her child, right? There's a disconnect there. And so going through the process to make sure that it's translated. Now, for those of you who do not know, because you've never made a book or you've never translated a book, that process is from scratch. You're literally remaking the book. You're literally transferring over pictures. You're going through the publishing process all over again. It's not like you drop it in Google Translate and it's good to go. You need a professional editor that is also Spanish speaking and can also read Spanish. And then here's the cool part about it, baby. It's so many different versions of Spanish. People in this country don't speak the same type of Spanish as people in that country. So then you got to figure out which one is the most popular and which one is going to reflect my students the most, because that's who inspired the book. So really the glow of thinking about the community that I was writing about and that I was trying to create a story for. I guess along the same lines as the first glow. The last glow that I would give this book is the fact that I bring the uncomfortable truths to light. I don't shy away from them. So the story starts off heavy because what is the most, we don't like to talk about it, but what is the biggest stereotype when it comes to Latino people? Yeah, immigration. All the time. You hear Latinos, you hear immigration, you hear the problem with the borders in this country and that country. And so starting this book off, in the beginning of the story, Mrs. Burrell is teaching her 4th grade class. And she says, did you know parts of America used to be Mexico? In fact, California, New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona all used to be Mexican territory. Okay? Then the little boy say he hate Mexicans because they take our stuff. Now, I know y'all have heard that. I know that you've heard that Latino people is taking jobs that don't nobody want to work. That they stealing land that used to belong to them. I know that you hear that. So that's in the book. It's in the book because if I hear it, if you hear it, baby, your baby hears it. And the whole point of this book is to uplift and to combat. So that's another thing that I appreciate, honestly, about myself, period, as an educator. If you're talking about it anyway, then we need to talk about it. We need to address it. We need to have the uncomfortable conversation. We need to debunk some of these myths and some of these things that are going around. So I do not shy away from things that are like hurtful or painful or jarring. I go towards them because, again, if I'm hearing it, your baby is hearing it. Okay, and if your baby is hearing it, they need something to combat it. My grows, or what I think could have been done better. One of my grows is that this book is part of a series. Came after What Would the World Be Without Black People, which is the same premise. It's about Black creators, inventors, scientists, activists. It's a children's book on Black history. After I saw the positive response from my students, because baby, let me tell you something. Everybody gonna have something to say in terms of critique. When I saw how it made my children feel, how it made my Black children feel, I was encouraged to make this book. My grow, however, is that I never tell you in this book that it is based on this book. Right? So as I'm doing the read aloud, I realize if you don't know my work, if you just pick up this book without having an understanding that it is the second part of the series, there are a few pages that don't really make sense. Like, you need that piece of knowledge and information, and we don't say that. We just kind of throw in the knowledge fairy who was from the first book, and we just kind of bring it up, but there is no clear introduction. Baby, I don't have no other grows. It's a good book. It's a good book. It is an informative book. It's an educational book. It's a beautiful book. I encourage you to get the book. What Would the World Be Without Latinos is truly just a work of art that was created so that Latino students can feel loved and empowered, and other students can learn about so much beauty and excitement. This has been Behind the Book. All this week we're talking about immigration and citizenship. On Friday we have part 2 of the Teacher Lady Speaks, which is a crash course on how to talk to your child about immigration, and our Teacher Lady Speaks crash course at the end of the week. As always, thank you for learning with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for holding space. And until next time, remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.